I stood frozen at the entrance of the wedding hall, my heart hammering against my ribs. My tuxedo, the one I had spent months picking out and tailoring to perfection, suddenly felt suffocating. The heat from the room pressed against my skin, but it wasn't the temperature. It was the weight of betrayal sinking deep into my bones. I had walked in, expecting to see my bride, Rachel, waiting for me at the altar, surrounded by friends and family, ready to start our lives together. Instead, I was greeted by her mother standing tall in the middle of the aisle, her smile sharp enough to slice through steel. "You're no longer needed," she said, tilting her head, her voice sickly sweet. I blinked, convinced I had misheard her. The murmurs in the hall grew louder as heads turned, eyes shifting between me and the woman who had just dismissed me like an uninvited guest at my own wedding. Then Rachel stepped beside her, her perfectly curled hair falling over one shoulder, her makeup pristine, her dress, the dress I had paid for, flowing around her like she was the queen of some twisted fairy tale. And yet, not a single flicker of guilt crossed her face. No hesitation, no second thoughts. "My alpha brother will take your place," she said, her tone dripping with something that made my stomach twist. My mind blanked for a second. The words didn't make sense. I had been with Rachel for years. I had planned this day down to the smallest detail. I had poured $15,000 into this wedding, making sure she had everything she wanted, everything she had dreamed of. And now she was telling me I had been replaced like a defective part? The whispers in the room grew into a wave of judgment. Some guests looked away, uncomfortable. Others stared at me, waiting for me to explode, to fight, to demand answers. Rachel's mother stepped forward, her smirk deepening. "You have two options," she said, her voice just loud enough for the guests to hear. "Leave, or take a seat in the audience and watch a real man marry my daughter." A real man? The insult cut deeper than I cared to admit. The rage burned hot, scorching through my veins, my fists clenching at my sides. I could feel my pulse in my throat, the taste of humiliation thick on my tongue. Every muscle in my body screamed for me to lash out, to make them regret this moment for the rest of their lives. But then I exhaled. Not yet. I looked Rachel in the eyes, searching for anything. Any sign that she realized what she was doing, any flicker of hesitation. But there was nothing. Just that smug satisfaction, the kind that came from knowing she had won. She thought I was weak. She thought I was broken. So I did the last thing they expected. I turned around and walked out. The gasps echoed through the hall. Rachel's mother's smug expression faltered, just for a moment. Rachel's lips parted slightly, as if she hadn't actually expected me to go through with it. Good. Let them think they had won. Let them revel in their so-called victory. Because the game had only just begun. An hour later, I sat in my car, parked in an empty lot. The tuxedo jacket had been thrown onto the passenger seat, my tie loosened, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. The phone buzzed beside me. At first, I ignored it. I wasn't ready to hear whatever excuse, whatever pathetic justification Rachel or her family had cooked up. Then it rang again, and again. By the fourth time, I picked it up. The second I answered, I was met with screaming. Rachel's voice, frantic and shrill, cut through the speaker. "You ruined everything." I almost laughed. The sheer audacity of it. Me. My voice was eerily calm. I ruined everything? Rachel, you replaced me at my own wedding. You let your mother throw me out like I was nothing. And now, you have the nerve to call me? There was a stuttering breath on the other end, followed by more frantic yelling. The wedding is a mess. The guests are leaving. Nothing is going as planned. I leaned back in my seat, a slow smirk forming. Good, she shrieked. Matthew, you don't understand. No, Rachel. My voice hardened. You don't understand. But don't worry. You will soon. And then, before she could say another word, I hung up. As I sat there, the weight of the situation settled over me. Rachel and her family thought they had crushed me, that I would simply disappear, licking my wounds, while they carried on with their twisted version of a perfect day. They had no idea what was coming. I took a slow breath, my mind already spinning with the next steps. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. They wanted to play dirty? Fine. I would burn everything they built to the ground. Walking away wasn't an act of surrender. It was a strategic retreat. They thought they had one, that they had humiliated me beyond recovery. They had no idea who they were dealing with. As I drove through the city, my mind sharpened, the initial sting of betrayal transforming into something colder, something more dangerous. Rachel and her family had spent years treating me like I was an accessory to her life, something replaceable. They believed I was desperate for their approval, that I would bend over backward to prove I was good enough for them. They were wrong. I pulled into a quiet parking lot, my hands steady as I pulled out my phone. If they thought I was going to disappear, they were about to learn just how much of their perfect day was still under my control. I dialed the number of the venue manager. He answered after 2 rings. "Mr. Carter, everything going smoothly at the wedding?" I almost laughed at the irony. "Actually, I need you to cancel everything." Silence. "Excuse me?" "Shut it down. The catering, the flowers, the music, everything I paid for? Gone. Now." He hesitated. "Sir, the wedding is happening right now, not my wedding," I cut in. "If they want to replace me, let's see how they handle a wedding without my money." A long pause, then a careful question. "Should I process a refund to the original payment method?" I smirked. "No. No refunds." "Understood." As I hung up, I pictured the chaos about to unfold inside the venue. Rachel and her mother had stolen my wedding, thinking they could swap me out like a disposable piece of furniture. Let's see how they liked it when their dream wedding fell apart before their eyes. I wasn't done yet. I scrolled through my contacts and found the number for the catering service. The moment they picked up, I got straight to the point. "Cancel the food order." A surprised voice answered, "Sir, we're in the middle of delivery. Turn the trucks around. No food is to be served. And while you're at it, make sure they understand there's no refund coming." The manager hesitated. "Are you sure?" I could already imagine the guests sitting at their tables, waiting for the grand feast that would never come. "Very sure." Click. Next came the decorations. I had gone all out to make sure the wedding looked exactly how Rachel wanted. Every detail, from the floral arrangements to the silk table runners, had been meticulously chosen by her, using my money. I called the decorator. "Pull everything." A confused voice on the other end stammered, "Sir, the wedding is, I don't care. Pack it up. And if they give you trouble, tell them to take it up with me." I barely had time to enjoy the thought of Rachel standing in a half-empty wedding hall before I made my next move. "The DJ." The moment he answered, I gave the same instruction. "Cut the music. Pack your equipment and leave." He chuckled nervously. "This some kind of joke?" "Not at all. You're no longer needed." I could hear the hesitation, but money talks, and I was the one who had paid him. One by one, I dismantled every part of the wedding that I had built. By the time I was done, the entire event was nothing but an empty shell. Now, it was time to sit back and watch the collapse. I walked into a nearby cafe, ordered a coffee, and settled into a seat by the window. My phone, once buzzing with well wishes and excitement, was now flooded with calls from Rachel and her family. I ignored them all. Minutes turned into an hour. "You have to fix this." I took a slow sip of my coffee. "Fix what?" "Everything is falling apart. The guests are complaining. There's no food, no music, no decorations. Sounds like a terrible wedding." I mused. "Maybe you should ask your real man to handle it." There was silence on the other end. A pause so long that for a moment, I thought she had hung up. Then, she spoke, her voice lower now, pleading. "Matthew, please. We can talk about this later. Just fix it, okay? Call the vendors. Tell them there was a mistake. We can still salvage this." I chuckled. "Salvage it? Rachel, you threw me out of my own wedding. You expected me to sit quietly while you replaced me like a spare part. You thought I'd just disappear while you celebrated on my dime. But now, without me, you have nothing." "It wasn't my fault," she snapped, panic slipping into her voice. "It was my mother. She convinced me it was the right thing to do." "Oh, so you're just a puppet now?" I leaned back in my chair, twirling my spoon in my coffee cup. Poor Rachel, unable to think for herself. A grown woman letting mommy make her decisions. That's not. Let me ask you something. I cut in, my voice sharp now. When she told you to replace me, did you hesitate? Did you fight for me? Did you tell her no? Silence. I smirked. That's what I thought. I hung up before she could say another word. Meanwhile, back at the venue, the chaos only grew worse. Guests, expecting a luxurious feast, were now sitting at empty tables, muttering among themselves, checking their phones in confusion. Some of them tried to discreetly slip away. Others weren't so subtle, openly complaining as they left. Rachel's mother was in full meltdown mode, storming through the hall, demanding answers, barking orders at staff who had no idea what was going on. The best man, Rachel's so-called alpha brother, was pacing near the altar, looking around like a man realizing he had just walked into a burning building. Then, the DJ shut off his equipment and walked out. Then, the floral team started pulling down decorations. Then, the catering company arrived, not to serve food, but to pack up and leave. By the time Rachel realized how deep the damage went, she was standing in the middle of a half-empty hall, her perfect day crumbling around her. And that's when the guests started talking. The whispers started small. Wait, didn't she have a different fiancé? Wasn't Matthew supposed to be the groom? Where is he? Then, a few guests who had seen the exchange earlier started telling the truth. Her mother told him to leave. Kicked him out right at the entrance. What? Are you serious? Yeah, told him to join the audience if he wanted to watch someone else marry Rachel. Wait, so he was the one who paid for everything? Oh my God. Like wildfire, the rumors spread. And just when I thought things couldn't get worse for them, I got a message from an old friend who was still at the wedding. Friend, dude. Cops just showed up. I laughed so hard I almost spilled my coffee. Guests who had seen me get kicked out had started telling others, and before long, the entire hall was buzzing with the real story. The more people talked, the worse it got. Some were furious about what Rachel's family had done, while others just found the entire thing hilarious. But then, one guest, someone who had known me personally, decided to bring up something else. You know, I heard Matthew paid for everything. The venue, the food, the decorations. No way. Are you serious? Dead serious. Rachel's family didn't spend a dime. He funded it all. Wait, so you're telling me she kicked him out, replaced him, and expected to keep all his money? That was the moment everything shifted. People started leaving. One by one, guests began walking out of the venue, refusing to take part in the farce that Rachel and her family had tried to pass off as a wedding. Some stopped to confront Rachel's mother, calling her out for the stunt she had pulled. Others straight up laughed in Rachel's face. And then, someone had the brilliant idea to inform the police. It turned out, while reviewing my finances earlier, I had stumbled across several unauthorized transactions. Rachel's mother had been using my credit card behind my back. Luxury spa treatments, shopping sprees, and the worst part? A down payment on a car. I hadn't even had the time to report it myself yet, but thanks to the gossip spreading like wildfire, someone else had tipped off the authorities. The moment the police heard about credit card fraud at a wedding venue, they showed up to investigate. And now, Rachel's mother was stammering, panicked, and making a complete fool of herself in front of everyone. This is ridiculous, she hissed at the officer. Do you know who I am? The cop barely blinked. Ma'am, we received a report of financial fraud involving a large sum of money. We need to ask you a few questions. I leaned against my car, arms crossed, watching the entire thing unfold. That's when Rachel spotted me. Her expression twisted into something between desperation and rage. She stormed over, the weight of her dress dragging behind her like a symbol of her own downfall. Matthew, she snapped, tell them this is a mistake. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, a mistake? You mean the charges on my card? Or do you mean the fact that you replaced me at the altar and thought you'd get away with it? I didn't know about the credit card. It was my mother. And you expect me to believe that? I tilted my head. Rachel, when were you planning to tell me? Before or after you let your real man move into my house? Her breath hitched. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I chuckled, shaking my head. No, Rachel, it wasn't supposed to be like this for you. You thought you'd get everything you wanted, that I'd just disappear quietly. But you underestimated me. The officer turned to me. Sir, are you the card holder? I nodded. Yes. And I was about to file a fraud report myself. I have the receipts, the statements, everything you need. Rachel's mother whirled around, furious. You little rat. You're trying to ruin us. I smirked. No, ma'am. You ruined yourselves. The cop gave a tight-lipped nod. We'll need you to come down to the station later to finalize your report, sir. Of course, I said smoothly. Happy to help. Rachel looked like she was about to collapse. The wedding was ruined. Her mother was under police investigation. The guests had left in disgust. And the man who was supposed to take my place? I glanced around. He was nowhere to be found. As the police continued questioning Rachel's mother, Rachel just stood there, staring at the wreckage of what was supposed to be her perfect day. She turned to me one last time. Please. I shook my head. This is what you wanted, Rachel. Enjoy it. Then, without another word, I got into my car and drove off. This battle was over, but I wasn't done yet. I drove home, the echoes of Rachel's desperation still ringing in my ears. She had called after me like I was some lifeline she suddenly needed, but she had made her choice. She wanted to replace me. She wanted my money, but not me. And now, she had neither. As I pulled into my driveway, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was my lawyer. Matthew, I just got off the phone with the fraud department. The police flagged your case, and the bank confirmed unauthorized charges under your name. I smirked, unlocking my door and stepping inside. Let me guess, Rachel's mother? Correct, my lawyer replied. We're looking at nearly $20,000 in fraudulent transactions. The bank has already started an investigation. If you press charges, they'll move forward with legal action. I leaned against my kitchen counter, exhaling slowly. $20,000. That woman had stolen from me with zero hesitation, all while plotting to push me out of Rachel's life like I was disposable. I didn't even have to think about it. Press the charges. There was a pause. Are you sure? Positive, I said, my voice calm. She thought she could use me. She thought I was weak. Let's show her how wrong she was. My lawyer let out a low chuckle. Consider it done. The next morning, the real fallout began. News of Rachel's train wreck wedding had spread far beyond the venue. Social media had exploded with footage from guests who had recorded everything. A video of Rachel's mother yelling at the police. Another clip of guests walking out after learning the truth. And the best part? A photo of Rachel standing alone in her dress, abandoned at the altar, while her supposed real man had vanished from the scene. I couldn't have planned it better myself. My phone lit up again. Rachel was calling. I let it ring. Then came another. Her father. Ignored. Then another from an unknown number, probably her mother's desperate attempt to reach me. Not happening. That afternoon, my lawyer sent me an update. The charges have been filed. The fraud department is moving forward, and Rachel's mother is looking at criminal charges for financial theft. I smirked. Good. Let's see how well she handles being the center of attention now. She'll probably try to settle, my lawyer continued. She might even beg you to drop the charges. I leaned back in my chair. She'll learn that I don't forgive thieves. That same night, Rachel showed up at my house. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the best of me. I opened the door to find her standing there, her once pristine wedding dress now wrinkled, her hair a mess, her eyes swollen. For the first time since this all started, she actually looked nervous. Matthew, she started, her voice small. I crossed my arms. You shouldn't be here. I know, she admitted, her hands trembling slightly. I need to talk to you. I said nothing, waiting. She hesitated, then burst into tears. My mom is being investigated. My family is turning on each other. Everything is falling apart. Please, you have to stop this. I stared at her, unimpressed. I don't have to do anything, Rachel. Your family stole from me. Your mother used my money to fund her own lifestyle while treating me like trash. And you? You stood by and let it happen. She shook her head violently. I didn't know about the money, I swear. I raised an eyebrow. So, You're telling me your mother suddenly started buying luxury bags, spa treatments, and a brand new car, and you didn't ask where the money came from? She bit her lip, avoiding my eyes. I didn't think. I cut her off. That's the problem, Rachel. You never thought. You just took what you wanted and assumed there'd be no consequences. Her shoulders shook. Matthew, please. I know I hurt you. I know I made a mistake. But you're not like this. You're not cruel. I exhaled, shaking my head. Rachel, this isn't cruelty. This is justice. Her lips parted slightly, and for the first time, I saw the real fear in her eyes. I continued, my voice steady. Your mother thought she could take from me and get away with it. She was wrong. Your family thought I was weak. They were wrong. And you? You thought I'd sit back and watch while you humiliated me. You were wrong too. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. I can't fix this, she whispered. I don't know what to do. I gave her a cold, humorless smile. You made this mess, Rachel. Now you get to live with it. She let out a shaky breath. You're really going through with this? Every last step? Her tears fell harder. I never meant for it to go this far, I sighed. You meant for me to disappear quietly, but I didn't. She swallowed hard, wiping at her face. I guess I deserve this. I tilted my head. You do. Rachel stood there for a few more seconds, her chest rising and falling in unsteady breaths, before finally turning away and walking back to her car. I watched as she drove off, disappearing into the night. The battle was over, but the war wasn't finished yet. Her family's downfall was only just beginning. The days after Rachel's disastrous wedding felt like a turning point. The fallout was worse than even I had expected. The credit card fraud case was moving fast, and Rachel's mother was now the subject of a full financial investigation. Apparently, my case had opened up a much bigger issue, one that involved years of suspicious transactions. I couldn't have planned it better if I tried. Rachel, meanwhile, had gone completely silent. After our last conversation, I hadn't heard a word from her. No calls, no texts, nothing. It was like she had finally accepted the reality she had created for herself. Then, on the third day, she broke. I was at home, working on my laptop, when my phone buzzed. Rachel. I debated ignoring it. I owed her nothing, but something in me wanted to hear just how broken she had become. I answered. She didn't speak at first. All I could hear was her breathing, uneven, shaky. Then, in a whisper, Matthew, I don't know what to do. I leaned back in my chair. About what? A choked laugh. About everything. My family, my mom, my life. It's all falling apart. I stayed silent, waiting. She continued, her voice hoarse. My father won't talk to me. My brother blames me for everything. My mother is being questioned daily by the police. Reporters are calling our house. Our business partners are pulling out of deals. I smirked. That's rough. She sucked in a breath. Matthew, I lost everything. There it was. The realization. I let the silence stretch, let her feel the weight of her own words. Finally, I spoke. No, Rachel. You threw everything away. A soft sob came through the line. I don't know how it got this bad. I tilted my head, my voice cold. You don't? She sniffled. I made a mistake. I sighed. No, Rachel. You made a series of choices. You chose to betray me. You chose to listen to your mother. You chose to replace me at our wedding. And now, you're realizing what that means. She let out a shaky breath. I miss you, Matthew. I laughed. A deep, bitter laugh that made her suck in a breath. Miss me? I repeated. You mean you miss my money. You miss the stability. You miss knowing that, no matter what, I'd always be there to fix your messes. That's not true, she snapped. Isn't it? I asked calmly. Because if I were still the old Matthew, you'd be trying to convince me to help you right now. But you know I won't. And that terrifies you. She didn't respond. Good, I said, my voice like ice. Sit in that fear. Get comfortable with it. Because this is your new reality, Rachel. And I'm not part of it. She whimpered. I don't want to be alone. I smirked. You should have thought about that before you threw me away. And with that, I hung up. The news about Rachel's family only got worse. Their family business was in trouble. Investors were distancing themselves, not wanting to be associated with a fraud scandal. Even Rachel's father, who had tried to play innocent, was getting dragged into the mess. And Rachel? She was officially ruined. Her friends had abandoned her. The guests from the wedding had spread the full story of what she had done, and no one wanted to be associated with her anymore. Her own family blamed her for the disaster, claiming that if she had just married me, none of this would have happened. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. A week later, my lawyer called me again. "Matthew, we have a settlement offer." I raised an eyebrow. "From who?" "Rachel's mother." I let out a low whistle. "How desperate is she?" "Very." My lawyer sounded amused. "They want to offer you a financial settlement if you agree to drop the charges." I smirked. "How much?" $50,000. I almost laughed. She stole $20,000 from me and now wants to pay $50,000 just to make this go away? It's more than just the money. My lawyer's voice turned serious. The investigation is digging up more dirt on her. If this goes to court, she could be facing real prison time. This is her way of trying to get ahead of it. I tapped my fingers against my desk, considering. If I took the money, this could all be over. But then again, why would I do her any favors? "Tell them I'll think about it," I said. But in my heart, I already knew my answer. Rachel and her family had tried to destroy me, and I wasn't done watching them fall. I let Rachel's mother sweat. She thought she could buy her way out of this mess, that I'd take her hush money and walk away quietly. But that's the problem with people like her. They always assume money fixes everything. It didn't. Not this time. I ignored the settlement offer. Didn't even acknowledge it. Let them wonder. Let them panic. And while they were waiting for my response, I made my next move. I had proof, bank statements, fraudulent transactions, stolen funds, all tied directly to Rachel's mother. She had used my money like it was her personal piggy bank, funding a lifestyle she never actually earned. Now, it was time for everyone to know. The first thing I did? I sent everything to the police. They already had an open investigation, but now they had even more documents, emails, concrete proof that she had been dipping into accounts that didn't belong to her. This wasn't just fraud anymore. It was theft on a massive scale. Next, I leaked everything online. It started with a simple post. Imagine getting thrown out of your own wedding, only to find out your future in-laws stole your money too. Wild, right? Here's the proof. Attached? Screenshots, bank statements, receipts. It didn't take long before the post exploded. People who had attended the wedding chimed in, confirming what happened. I was there. The groom was literally told to leave or watch from the audience, while another guy took his place. They took all his money and expected him to just disappear. Unreal. Wait, so she knew her mom was stealing from him this whole time? And she just let it happen? The story went viral. Rachel's family had always been obsessed with their public image, but now that image was completely shattered. People dug up old skeletons, pulling out previous lawsuits, shady business dealings, even old complaints from employees who had worked for Rachel's father. Her father's business lost multiple clients overnight. Her mother's name was dragged through the mud, with local news outlets picking up the fraud case. And Rachel? She became a joke. The texts started pouring in. First, from Rachel. "What the hell did you do?" Ignored. Then, from her brother. The same alpha that was supposed to replace me. "Bro, this is getting out of control. You need to take the post down." I laughed. He thought he still had the right to tell me what to do? Ignored. Then, finally, Rachel's father. His message was longer, more careful. "Matthew, I know things got out of hand, but this has gone too far. I understand you're angry, but this is damaging our family's reputation. If we can sit down and talk, maybe we can work something out." So now, when it's his family's reputation on the line, he suddenly wants to be reasonable? I replied with one sentence. "You should have thought about that before your wife stole from me." No response. The next morning, my lawyer called again. "Matthew, they upped their offer. $75,000. I smirked. "Oh, they getting nervous?" "Very," she confirmed. Between the fraud case and the public fallout, They're desperate to make this disappear. I leaned back, considering it. 75 grand was more than what they stole from me. I could take the money, close the chapter, and move on richer than before. But then, I asked myself, would they have ever done the same for me? Would they have given me a way out if the roles were reversed? No. Rachel's family had never cared about anyone but themselves. They would have bled me dry, taken everything, and left me in the dirt without a second thought. So, I made my decision. Decline the offer, I said. My lawyer hesitated. Are you sure? We could negotiate for more. I'm not here to negotiate, I said firmly. I'm here to watch them fall. She exhaled, then chuckled. You're ruthless. I smiled. I'm just getting started. The next day, the police officially pressed charges against Rachel's mother. She was looking at prison time. Rachel's father tried to distance himself from the scandal, but the damage was done. Investors pulled out, deals collapsed. His company took a massive financial hit. Rachel? She had nowhere to go. Her friends abandoned her. No one wanted to be associated with someone whose entire life was publicly exposed as a scam. Her family turned against each other. And me? I had one. I had taken everything back, my dignity, my money, my life. And they had lost everything. The fallout from my post and the fraud investigation was relentless. Every day, new headlines, new rumors, and new consequences surfaced for Rachel and her family. What had once been a well-respected family in their social circles was now a public scandal, and no amount of damage control could stop it. Rachel had gone silent after our last conversation, but I knew she was watching everything crumble. I wasn't done yet. One night, as I was sitting in my living room, enjoying a drink, my phone buzzed. Rachel. I stared at her name on the screen, debating whether to answer. She had nothing left. I knew why she was calling. She had reached her breaking point. I let it ring twice before picking up. Her voice was small, weak. Matthew, please don't hang up. I took a slow sip of my drink. Why would I hang up? I want to hear what you have to say. A shaky breath. I lost everything. I exhaled through my nose. No, Rachel. You threw everything away. Silence. Then, her voice broke. I don't know what to do. My father barely looks at me. My mom is being dragged through hell. I can't even leave the house without someone recognizing me. People whisper about me everywhere I go. That must be awful, I said flatly. She sniffled. I deserve it, don't I? I swirled my drink, watching the ice clink against the glass. Do you really want me to answer that? A pause. Then, softly, I was wrong. I raised an eyebrow. About what? Her voice was thicker with emotion now. Everything. The way I treated you. The way I let my family treat you. I thought I was making the right choice. I thought my mom knew best. But she only cared about herself. And now, she's ruined everything. I let the words settle between us. Then, I asked the one question that had been on my mind since the beginning. Rachel, when your mother told me to leave my own wedding, did you even consider stopping her? Silence. A beat. Then another. Then, she started crying. And that told me everything I needed to know. I let out a small chuckle. I already knew the answer. I just wanted to hear you say it. She sounded broken. I thought you'd be fine. I thought you'd move on. I didn't think it would get this bad. I smiled coldly. You thought I'd disappear. That I'd just let you and your family take everything from me. Replace me, humiliate me. You didn't think there'd be consequences. I know. I let out a slow breath. And now you're here, begging me to stop? I don't want to be alone, Matthew. I smirked. You should have thought about that before you let them push me out. She let out a shaky sob. I was selfish. I was stupid. I didn't see what I had until it was gone. I took another sip of my drink, feeling nothing but satisfaction. And what exactly do you want from me, Rachel? An apology? Forgiveness? A second chance? She didn't answer. Because we both knew what she wanted. And we both knew she wasn't going to get it. I don't hate you, Rachel, I said finally. I just don't care anymore. A small gasp, like she had been stabbed in the heart. Goodbye, Rachel. And then, I hung up. That was the last time I ever spoke to her. Over the next few weeks, her life continued to fall apart. Her mother was officially indicted for fraud. The case was moving forward, and she was facing jail time. Her father's business collapsed. With so much bad press, their clients had all but abandoned them. And Rachel? She was truly alone. No money, no family support, no future. She had played her hand, and she had lost. One day, I got another message. It was from her brother, the same guy who was supposed to replace me at the wedding. I should have seen it sooner. My family only cares about themselves. I was just a pawn, too. I'm sorry for everything, man. You were right. I didn't reply. He wasn't worth my time. None of them were. Weeks had passed since I last heard from Rachel, but her downfall hadn't stopped. It had only gotten worse. Her mother was now officially facing trial. The fraud case had escalated, and news outlets were all over it. Every detail about the stolen funds, the illegal transactions, and her past shady dealings was being exposed to the public. Her father? Drowning in debt. The bad publicity surrounding the case had ruined his reputation, and his business was bleeding money. Investors had cut ties. Former clients had backed out of deals. He had no way to recover. And Rachel? She was nowhere to be found. Rumors swirled that she had moved in with a distant relative, trying to escape the humiliation. Her social media accounts were wiped clean. Her once lavish lifestyle completely gone. She had lost everything, and I had never felt more at peace. One evening, I was sitting in my apartment, watching the city lights from my balcony, when my phone buzzed. I glanced down. A text message. From Rachel. I sighed, debating whether to open it. But curiosity won. I clicked the message, and my smirk grew wider as I read it. I don't expect you to reply. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I know it doesn't change anything, but I had to say it. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I threw it away. I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I stared at the message for a moment. Then, I deleted it. No response. No acknowledgement. Nothing. Because I had already won. Later that week, I received another message. This time, from Rachel's alpha brother. The same man who was supposed to replace me. I don't know if you'll even read this, but I just want to say, you were right about everything. My family used me just like they used you. They never cared about anyone but themselves. I thought I was better than you, but the truth is, I was just another pawn. I see that now. I'm sorry, man. I hope you find real happiness. I stared at my screen for a moment, then chuckled. What a joke. The same man who had stood there on my wedding day, ready to take my place, was now groveling. Pathetic. I didn't reply. He wasn't worth it. The final nail in the coffin came when the news broke that Rachel's mother had officially lost her trial. Guilty. She was sentenced to prison. Rachel's family was ruined beyond repair. No more wealth. No more power. No more influence. They were nothing now. And I was free. One night, I was walking through the city when I passed by the same venue where my wedding was supposed to take place. A different wedding was happening there. A happy couple, surrounded by real friends and family who actually cared about them. I watched for a moment, then smiled. That could have been me, but it wasn't. And thank God for that. Because Rachel thought she had taken everything from me. But in the end, I was the one who truly won. I woke up the next morning with an unfamiliar feeling. Peace. No more stress. No more anger. No more unfinished business. Everything that needed to happen had already played out. Rachel was gone. Her family was in ruins. Justice had been served, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I could finally breathe. I stepped out onto my balcony, sipping my coffee as the city came to life below me. The weight of everything, the betrayal, the humiliation, the rage, was no longer there. It had been replaced by something lighter, something better. I had won, not just against Rachel, against the version of myself who would have once let this destroy him. And that was the best victory of all. Later that day, I received one last message. From Rachel. I sighed, debating whether to open it, but curiosity won. I clicked the message, and this time, it was shorter. I saw you last night. You looked happy. I guess that means you're really over me. I don't know what I expected, but it hurts more than I thought it would. I wish I could take everything back. I really do. But I know I can't. I just hope you find the happiness that I was too blind to give you. I read it once. then twice. Then, I did the same thing I had done with her previous messages. Deleted it. No response. No acknowledgement. Nothing. She was my past, and I wasn't looking back anymore. That evening, I went out to a bar with a few friends, something I hadn't done in far too long. For the first time in months, my mind wasn't on Rachel, her family, or their downfall. I wasn't thinking about revenge. I wasn't thinking about what had been taken from me. I was just living. And then, something unexpected happened. A woman approached our table, kind eyes, an easy smile, an energy that was nothing like Rachel's. She looked at me, a hint of curiosity in her expression. Mind if I sit here? I hesitated for half a second. Then, I smiled. Go ahead. And just like that, my new life began. Because Rachel thought she had ruined me. But in the end, she had set me free.